Hi, Dr. Biology here. This is a quick course overview of AQA GCSE Biology. So what are the biology topics you'll be doing? Well, usually it's split into year 10 and 11. So in year 10, you'll be studying things like cell biology, so particularly looking at animal and plant and prokaryotic cells, looking at mitosis and meiosis and growth and repair, and things like how substances move across membranes. So that's usually diffusion, osmosis, and active transport. Organization. So you look at cells, tissues, and organ systems. You particularly look at the digestive system, the circulatory system, and gas exchange in humans. And also you look at the role of enzymes, particularly in the digestive system. You then move on to some work on plants, so plant transport tissues, such as the xylem and phloem. Infection and response. So, what is a pathogen? How do diseases affect us? So, you look at the four main pathogens, which are bacteria, viruses, fungi, and protists. Then you look at the immune system. So, how the first line of defense works with white blood cells and how antibodies defend you. And then looking at vaccinations preventing disease and also about how drugs are developed through rigorous testing. Also, because you're doing separate science, if you're doing separate science, you'll be looking at things like monoclonal antibodies and a bit more on plant defense mechanisms in terms of disease. Bioenergetics, so that's photosynthesis and respiration, and also looking at the effects of exercise. So you'll also be doing some practical applications of that as well. So that's usually in year 10 for most students. And then you move on to year 11. And year 11 is you start off with homeostasis and response. So that's basically your nervous system, your hormonal system called the endocrine system. And you look at things like how does your body control itself? So using feedback loops related to temperature, water balance, and blood glucose. You also look at a bit about health related to diabetes. Then on to inheritance, variation, and evolution. So this is all about understanding genes and DNA, then looking at things like natural selection and variation, selective breeding and genetic engineering, but also looking at having a critical ideas of the ethical issues around genetic technologies. And then finally in year 11, you'll be doing ecology. So ecological studies, looking at ecosystems, biodiversity. There's a lot on the effects of human activities on biodiversity and how we can conserve and be more sustainable. So assessment and skills. So there's three main skills. Obviously, you need to know the knowledge and the content, but also scientific investigation skills. So over the time, you'll be planning, conducting investigations and evaluating scientific evidence, whether that be actually physically in the lesson or actually looking at exam questions. And the way that you develop those is through what we call the required practical activities. And I'll go on in a minute to talk about what those are. So also mathematical skills. So many students worry about math skills, but you won't be asked anything more than basic kind of GCSE level. But you might be asked to do things like percentage change, calculating rates, looking at a graph and interpreting data, and also using things like standard form. So required practicals. So I know some of you might be doing combined science, so I've put some information in there for you guys too. So the first thing is, regardless of what GCSE in biology you do, all of you will do the first 7. So you can see things like microscopy, looking at osmosis in plant tissues, food tests, enzymes, looking at the effects of pH. You might be looking at photosynthesis, so investigating how light intensity affects rate of photosynthesis, your reaction times, and also using sampling. So that's usually using a quadrat to look at the size and distribution of a plant species. If you're doing GCSE biology, which is triple science, then you'll do something on microbiology, germination, and decay. Good news is all of these 10 required practicals are on my website and on my YouTube channel. So assessment structure. So it's assessed via 2 written papers, each making up 50%. So in paper 1, and this is it's cell biology, organization, infection response, and bioenergetics. And for separate scientists, for triple science, that is 1 hour 45 minutes. If you're doing combined, it's 1 hour 15. Paper 2 covers homeostasis, inheritance and selection, and ecology. And again, that's 1 hour and 45 minutes. So exams include some multiple choice. There's more multi-choice, more choice-led exams in foundation, but usually in higher tier it's more short answers and extended response questions. And then the skills include practical and mathematical skills are integrated throughout that biology course. Now, if you're worrying about resources, if you're starting GCSE biology, then please do check out drbiology.uk. So that's my website. And on that website, some fantastic resources there for you. I've got a lot of exam packs, revision for all topics. I go through some paper run-throughs. I have all the past papers for both separate and combined science from 2018 to 2024. And I've got lots of different resources there to help you. The main reason you'd go there, though, is that it has Dr. Biology YouTube video playlists. So please do go to my website and you can see at number 1, the YouTube videos. I put them all into playlists for all the topics related to the topics that I've just mentioned. Okay, I hope you found that useful. Please do subscribe to Dr. Biology. There's going to be a lot more content coming on this year, and I wish you all the very best with your GCSE biology exams. I'll see you soon.